Welcome to episode 6 of Adventures of a Boss Bae. Today I am joined by Lawanda Banks, founder, educator, author. She is the founder and director of Learning with Lawanda. And so today we'll be talking about her growth and leadership, where she started, and where she hopes to be in the future. Hey y'all, welcome to Adventures of a Boss Bae. I'm Cherish, mom, entrepreneur, and the woman behind a whole lot of dreams in motion. After more than 20 years in the early childhood field and building businesses from scratch, I've learned that success isn't a straight line, it's an adventure. Okay, Lawanda, thank you for being my first guest of Adventures of a Boss Bae. So today I want to take you back to the beginning of Learning with Lawanda. And I want you to paint a picture of what life was like for you at the time and what made you take that leap of faith and say, hey, I'm going to do this on my own and start my own business.
Well, hi, Cherish. Hi. Thanks for having me here with Adventures of a Guest, a Boss Bae. Almost 7 years, well, almost 8 years ago, actually, back in 2018, I was at a crossroads in my life where I had to decide, do I go back into the classroom into the new school year, or do I step out on faith and on my purpose and open up my own learning center that was home-based at the time. Originally, Learning with Lawanda was First Start Kinder Prep, LLC, and then I turned it into a tutoring thing. So I ended up being First Start Tutoring, and then First Start Tutoring has done its business as Learning with Lawanda. But it was a medical crisis that I was going through at the time, and I needed to reinvent the way I live and the way I work. And instead of facing defeat within my medical crisis, I decided to just go within and say, if I have to find a different work environment, let me find the safest and easiest, less stressful environment, which was my home. So I just opened up my company in my home, Home-Based Learning, and it ended up being from one child to now it's just ballooned into countless children. At this point, I would have to really sit down and tally. So that's what started it for me, just wanting to continue being an educator and thinking outside the box anyway on how I can do that if I weren't in a stressful environment like working in a district sometimes can be.
Yes, I love that. I love how that tells a story of how you were able to pivot, and you can tell education is your passion, and you didn't want to let that go just because you had a medical issue that you had to deal with. You found a way to, like you said, reinvent yourself, but also stay true to who you are, which is the educator side, the Learning with Lawanda. Can you tell me, was there a moment when fear or doubt almost stopped you from making that decision to open your own business?
I never had doubt in myself. The biggest things were doubts from others or fears from others, fears of uncertainty, whether or not anyone will support the business, whether or not they will pay the rate that I was charging, whether or not they would count with the hours that I wanted to work within, because I was fixing my work around my life instead of my life around my work. So I had to find something that would kind of put me back into the moments where I was now again, like a stay-at-home mom, but it's not necessarily a stay-at-home mom. I'm a work-from-home mom. I'm a boss-from-home mom, because now I have this whole company that I have to establish, and because I already had knowledge in operating business and starting businesses, because my mother is an entrepreneur, I was able to kind of watch her. My siblings, I have several siblings who are entrepreneurs, so I was able to watch them, and also just my general knowledge of organization and structure and education and the tools and materials, the programs, all of those things I was already kind of fluent with, and I already had a good amount of manipulatives and materials. I can design curriculum. I was able to do all of that kind of easily because I'm a creative. So having those types of tasks, which would seem more cumbersome to some, was actually very invigorating for me, because I was taking a mental visionary concept and then turning it into something tangible and real. And the moment I got that one child, that was all that I needed. One child. And when I got her, I knew that God was going to continue to bless me and that this is going to happen. So I had to just have faith in that.
Yes. And I can tell by your work, you are a woman of faith. And I like the way you were able to seamlessly just merge those two things together, your faith, your career, your health, and really just reinventing how you exist in the world of education on your own terms. I love that.
Thank you.
You're welcome. What would you say has been the most challenging part of building this, and what did that teach you?
The most challenging part of building the business to me was just having people who are supposed to be in my corner when they weren't in the corner. It challenged me emotionally and mentally, but I think my spirituality and my belief and my confidence in myself kind of balanced it, where I couldn't just rely on anyone else cheering me on or anyone else giving me that boost. I had to have that internal grit, which I've always had anyway, to just go and get it done. So I think the biggest challenge was more finance, because I was coming from out of being in a teaching position, which doesn't pay that much compared to other professions out there. But I was coming from that and opening up a new company, and I still had bills to pay. So I had to make sure that the money was coming, and then it was also going to equate or be a bit more than what I was bringing in as an educator, as a teacher. So that just getting into the waters and going through that was a struggle. But having my husband as a financial support system to lean on was one of the biggest blessings in my life that I could ask for, because without partnership, without somebody else there to help you, it would be very, very difficult.
Yes, I always say teamwork makes the dream work, for sure. So yes. We talked a little bit about this, but I want to pivot a little to your work as an author. So how does your faith and your writing connect, I guess, to the work that you do with families?
Well, I'm a human being, so obviously I came from a family. And I think that as an educator, my education or being helping others with knowledge doesn't stop just in the classroom. I would like to continue to work with parents to educate them on how to deal with children, not only on an educational, but a social, emotional, and a mental, and a spiritual, the whole thing that encompasses being a person. So when I look at my journey and me getting into wanting to be of purpose before I leave this earth, I've realized as a historian and a study of history and a teacher of history that those persons who took the courage to share their experience and to share the raw roots about what really happened to them, even though it may look as if you're going against your family because you're sharing things that happened in the family, it's deeper than that because it's things that happen within myself as an individual. So to be able to find the courage and to find the voice and to find the advocacy, which I find my work to be, it's an advocacy for children's rights and protections, it's advocacy for women's health, it's advocacy for mental health, it's advocacy for self-empowerment, it's advocacy for internal growth, it's advocacy for spiritual balance and connection. So it's for all of those things that I end up unearthing and just giving my true testimony on some of the things that I experienced, which really just scraped the surface. Because life gets so heavy and deep, and we go through things like loss, illness, mental health, or trauma, and all of those different types of things can either make or break an individual. And I feel like because I've went through so many walks, why not share it? Why keep it to myself? Especially if I've come out onto the other side as a bursting beam of light and energy and positivity, because that's what I am, that's what I claim to be, that's what I want to be, so that's what I manifest and I affirm within myself, and then I show it out in my work and in my children and in my conversations, because anything that's happened to me, it's already happened to someone else. I'm not the only one. But the silence, it's about breaking that silence and really being able to speak out and actually advocate for people who go through difficult times, so that their mental can be better. Be the support that you're supposed to be when it's time to support. Because if you're not doing that, then we're left very vulnerable, and we're left feeling isolated and rejected as individuals, and we carry it on through maybe childhood all the way up into adulthood without having a chance to voice how you really feel or to a chance to be heard. So that's why I've written my story, hoping to change mindsets in society.
Yes. And I love that holistic approach to education, because I think we run into issues when we only focus on it from one viewpoint. Oh, just education, but then we leave out the mental, the social, all of the other things. And I love that you have the freedom to do that with your program.
Yes, the freedom to live.
Now, you touched on it a little bit in your answer, but when did you realize that your work was truly making a difference?
My work has always made a difference. Anytime we do work and we do our best with that work, and the work had purpose to begin with, you've made a difference. If I go into my kitchen and the kitchen is messy and I clean it up, I've made a difference. I've changed a messy room into a clean room. So that's the same thing if I work with a child. From the very first child I taught to my cousin who I taught how to read when he's older than me. He was a teenager, and I taught him how to read when I was in maybe second grade or something like that. Because I was born a teacher. I was born with voice and purpose. I was born with these things. I don't know if it's because I'm a Capricorn in December. I don't know if it's because I'm an old soul, but I have this knowledge. It could have been passed down through generations and close connections with the elders in my family. So it's all of those different things. But so yes, I did make those differences because, like I was saying, if I have a child who comes into my classroom or into my tutoring space and they do not know how to read and their confidence is gone, or I don't even think it's that they can't learn how to read, because if a child knows their letter and the child knows the sound that letter can make, that's all you need to come to me. If you only know your letters and your sounds, well, baby, you can read. And I bring that out from the first lesson I teach my children, any student. By the end of my first lesson, I've already made a difference. And my parents can testify to that. Not all of them even give feedback online or however, but I know because they tell me face to face, or they may send a text, or I can see it in that child, or in the stress is gone, the burden is gone, because I've seen too many broken children whose teachers or parents or whoever else just assume that because you're in this age or you're this grade level, you should automatically know X, Y, and Z. But if you're not taught the right way, if you weren't instructed from the beginning in the right way that you learn, it's not the child's fault or the student's fault that they lack. It's because of maybe how they were taught, or that they're not getting the right type of support that they need.
So I like that you made mention of small wins, like cleaning up the kitchen. Some days life is hard and that's all you can do is a small win. And I'm glad that you mentioned that, because it's not always about the big wins. It's about the small wins, medium, they all matter. And so I like that you made mention of that. And then to make mention of your point of knowing that you were an educator since second grade, girl, I knew since kindergarten. And I thought that was strange, because not many people know, like, this is a job I want to do from a 5-year-old, but I knew that I wanted to be a teacher all that time.
I always say, when I think about small wins, if you're an Olympian, how many medals did you even have to win to qualify to get into the Olympics? Each one of those wins matter. It counts to the end of it. And if I'm successful on my goals, then I'm winning. If I had a plan and I was able to execute it, I'm winning. Whether or not anybody saw it, that's neither here nor there. The mighty God saw it, and that's all that matters. I know what I did, and He knows what I did, and thus what I did is going to come back to me in abundance and in blessing all the time. Because I'm always emanating that energy of doing what I'm supposed to do.
Where would you say Learning with Lawanda is today, and what are you building towards for the future?
Today, learning with Lawanda has transformed yet again because we're always evolving. Every day we have to ebb and flow with life. So it does a company. So learning with Lawanda first was a pre-K kinder prep program, became an after-school tutoring program also. We started doing homeschool support. Then we started doing education for adults, helping them to get high school diplomas. Then we started saying, you know what, we do the most. So let's just turn it to a virtual school. So now we are a virtual school. We work with national and international students.
Yes.
I have students across America. I have some Caribbean kids. And I'm always open to seeing how many more kids I can reach. So going virtual was a way for me to do that. And also doing my Rooted Parents series helps families with grounding themselves in their roles as parents and co-educators of these children. So I also offer those types of programs and workshops.
Yes.
I do community events. So Learning with Lawanda is not just an education thing, it's a family. We care about every relationship that we have. If our families are burdened by life, we step in and be family and support them in their shortcomings, because I believe in reciprocity. I believe in the spiritual gifts and that we're supposed to be there at the moment in time when we're there. So we've turned into something that was just me doing one thing into all of these other things now where I can just be of a bigger reach. So if any family is in need of tutoring or homeschool support, or if you have an infant child and you want to set up learning experiences with your child in that sense, I can help you with all of those different types of things. Because I'm a creative and I am an independent. I am able to do whatever it is that I feel like doing at the time it even arrives, because if I have it in my space and place to do it, I'll accommodate and I'll make it happen. So I've now, look at me, I'm over here
from Texas,
in Cartersville, Georgia, being with the Boss Bae. Who would have known in our just our relationship in general, the way that things happen. I believe in God and in synchronicities, and so I'm just thankful for this opportunity and for your audience to learn about Learning with Lawanda, and also about the Seed from the Garden of Eve trilogy, a tree replanted, uprooted, and replanted, and grounded. I'm so sorry. The last one is coming out next month. It's going to be finalized and released. So we will have the complete series available at lawandabanksbooks.com, and also anywhere books are sold virtually on Amazon. So that's a little bit about me.
Yes, I'm so excited to hear. For one, I'm excited for my vacation so I can read the first and second, and I'll be patiently waiting for the third installation of the trilogy. Before we wrap this up, our time together, thank you again for your time. But before we wrap it up, I just want to close out with these last two things. What would you say to someone who feels maybe afraid to start, like they just need that little motivation to push themselves, that internal motivation that you mentioned earlier?
Well, if you know that you're uncomfortable in the state that you're in, where you're working, if you feel like you're not being acknowledged or respected or appreciated, and you probably aren't even doing the thing that you were made to do, take a leap of faith and trust in yourself and what you know that you can do. If you're that type of person who wants to do it, because they have people who don't want to, but if you really want to do that thing, I don't care what it is. It may sound ludicrous to people, but there is a group of people out there who will support you, and there's always enough. There's enough kids. They can have 1,000 learning with Mrs. Rebecca's and everybody else's. There are so many millions of children to teach and so many people out there to service. I don't understand the idea of competition.
Exactly.
The only competitor is myself from yesterday. You see, so if you have a dream or a thought and you have it to do, just give yourself an opportunity to try. And if you fail, at least you tried, instead of failing to try at all. That's what
Yes.
I would say.
I love that. My uncle always used to say, nothing beats a failure but a try. So you never know until you try. And I love what you said about there not being competition. You know, there are enough children to go around. You may offer something that meets the needs of the family better than I can. And so maybe they need to go to a different program,
Right.
or maybe there needs to be a collab,
Right.
like what we're doing.
Exactly.
Learning with Lawanda. We'll be doing a workshop at Peachy Pals Playland this week. And so the collaboration is endless. You can collab because of technology. You have endless
Right.
opportunities for collaboration. So I am so excited for this
Yes.
collaboration, continued collaboration
Yes.
between our
It will be.
businesses. Yes. Lawanda, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us today on Adventures of a Boss Bae. Can you tell my audience where they can find you?
Yes, thank you, Cherish, and for this platform. Yes, you can find me at learningwithlawanda.com, or you can email me at learningwithlawanda@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook at Learning with Lawanda or at Lawanda Banks. You will find me there, and I am happy to assist you in whichever way I can.
Thank you, Lawanda. And if this episode resonated with you, leave a comment below and let us know what spoke to you the most. Thanks for tuning in to Adventures of a Boss Bae. Keep growing, keep going, and I'll see you in the next episode. If today's episode spoke to you, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, share it with another Boss Bae who needs a little inspiration. And don't forget to follow me on YouTube at Adventures of a Boss Bae for more behind the scenes and real life moments.